out. No one wants to fight for Israel.
His hand. Oh, his hand.
Sir. Let go of your hand. Let go of the door. Only go of the door.
The senator broke his hand. A sitting U.S. senator just broke the hand of a Marine.
Sir.
Control your Senate.
Yeah, well, I think that a retired veteran speaks for all of us right now. Yeah, I don't want to die for Israel. And as I mentioned on the last stream, I met a girl whose brother was deployed to fight for Israel. He tried to commit suicide the day before he was deployed because the morale is so low. You know, and God bless our troops. God bless the American troops, right? God bless our soldiers. God bless those who are fallen, the Gold Star families who are mourning the deaths of their families, and also the people who, you know, are working in intelligence. These are our heroes. We do love them in our country. Unfortunately, the regime that they're working for is very evil, nefarious, and it's not really controlled by the American public. We went from a government by the people, of the people, for the people, to now what? A secret society-led government with extremely narcissistic individuals who only care about Israel's objectives, and they hate you, and they hate me too, and they don't care if we die. Joining me today in the studio is a good friend of mine. He's the host of the America First podcast and the head of the new America First movement. A lot of things have been coming out, being whispers in the industry of real moves, real power moves. People are afraid of this guy. He's not the only target, but he's one of the #1 targets. If you're not familiar with him, I'd like to introduce him to you. His name is Nick Fuentes. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, what's going on, Elijah? Good to be with you.
Yeah, dude. So it's been a while, and I think I just want to jump right into that. I mean, you saw that footage there. That guy broke his hand. I read that the medical documents, that allegedly it's true. And he was working, so funny. You go, why did they want him kicked out? Okay, who is this guy? He's just protesting. He's not interrupting anybody. But we get into our real problem. We start with the real problem. It was a Senate hearing by Tim Sheehy, who is a U.S. senator from Montana, took $641,337 by the pro-Israel lobby and their mega donors. That's PACs and bundlers, $562,000 from the bundlers and the PACs, $80,000. What a cheap little slut our politicians are, you know? Put him in some chains and whip his fucking ass because this bitch is trading the American people for some money. I guess we just start there. Who the fuck is JD Vance? Who the fuck is Tim Sheehy? And why do they think that we're not going to do something, that we can't do anything about this? Can we? Can we do something about the fact that we're getting into another ridiculous $1 trillion potentially war with a lot of casualty risk and expansion risk? I mean, are we just cooked?
I think so. You know, I went on Alex Jones the other day, and this is always the question is, what can anyone do? Is there anything we could do? What can we do to stop it? And so this is taking place during a vote on a war powers resolution to constrain Trump's ability to escalate or expand the war or even continue the war in Iran. And so you have this Marine show up to the hearing protesting. And as a matter of fact, this is the Marine. A lot of people don't know this. He actually delivered that report, I don't know if it was a year ago, 2 years ago, about the systematic killing of Palestinians in Gaza. So last year, it was a huge scandal that Israelis had permitted some humanitarian aid to get into the Gaza Strip. And there were rumors and reports that they were shooting some of the civilians in the back as they tried to get the aid, as they went to the aid site and they tried to get supplies. This is the Marine that actually exposed this. He actually delivered a military report and reported that, yes, this is an eyewitness account. He saw IDF shooting at civilians unarmed trying to get aid. It's the same guy, at least that's what I was told. And to me, this is just a picture of America right now, which is you have a U.S. Marine. These are the people that are actually prosecuting the war, actually fighting the war. These are the best of us. These are people that voluntarily give up their life, potentially, risk the ultimate sacrifice for the good of the country. And they're being sent out now into, like you said, yet another ridiculous regime change war in the Middle East for Israel. And that's what the guy says. He says, look, we don't want to die for Israel. Americans don't want to die for Israel. And Look at the way that he's being treated, literally dragged out of the chamber by the cops. A U.S. senator jumps into action like you said, like a whore, like a disgusting slut, jumps in the middle of the action trying to get this guy out of there. They smash his hand in the door. That's the picture of America. That Marine is all of us. He's all the Americans that are saying, we don't want to go along with this. We don't want to die for Israel. We want our freedom and independence and sovereignty back. And this is our security apparatus and our representatives, our politicians, telling us, shut the fuck up and get out. You have no First Amendment. You have no recourse. This is the way the country's going. You know, even in the Senate, what they're trying to do is exercise constitutional restraint on the executive branch. According to the Constitution, you have to ask Congress to go to war. There's no formal declaration of war. There's no authorization of the use of military force. Trump is instigating the war. Now we're in it. Our elected body is supposed to restrain this action, and Republicans shot it down basically on party lines. And now we're being held hostage by this GOP, which many white people voted in. So it is this feeling of powerlessness. People are getting the shit kicked out of them, figuratively, and in this case now literally, for wanting to put America first. It's a pretty disgusting sight.
Yeah, you know, and I want to bring up what you just said about Congress not putting them in check. I saw this like horrible clip. We won't watch the whole thing. This is an old friend of mine, actually. This is a Congresswoman, Anna Paulina Luna. And she was never staunchly pro-Israel. I hung out with her and her husband several times at the Turning Point USA events, which I'm apparently infamous for going to. But let's just say I didn't buy her any Benadryl. She's a nice girl, and we appreciate her. So I don't have any bad things to say about these people. I want to remind you, these are people I know, so I have some respect. I'm like, hey, you know, you'd go and you go make the right decisions for the people. Like Tim Sheehy, I actually got paid to lobby for him, and he never stood on an Israel platform either. Didn't disclose he was taking money from Israel. And, you know, people know I work as a political lobbyist sometimes, maybe not anymore, but, you know, I have for the GOP. She comes out and she's supposed to say, hey, you know what, we got to stop this war. This is not the right thing. And then she goes out and she says this.
Really quickly, where have they killed thousands of Americans in America?
I didn't say they killed thousands of Americans in America. I said that they have been responsible for thousands of Americans being killed. And I think that that's easily something that you can verify. I don't know, state-sponsored terrorism for starters. Why don't you, are you serious right now about that whole thing? I'm not going to list out exact specific locations. They've literally been responsible for sponsored terrorism.
Are you talking about the Iraq war where the U.S. invaded Iraq?
You can start out by the three that they just killed. Okay, the whole point of your network, if you want to actually talk about the facts here, I'm giving you the facts. But I'm not going to sit here and argue with you about something that's commonly accepted and known.
Congresswoman, you don't have a good understanding of the
conflict. Well, I'm the one that's getting the briefings, not you. You're a pundit offering your opinion because you want clickbait, but are actually interested in the substance.
No, not at all.
We can talk about the fact that Obama sent millions upon millions of dollars.
You know, I want to get your opinion straight on this, but I just figured something out. The reason why, because she was a social media influencer. You can see her in her underwear if you want to look it up. Legitimately, you can just see that woman in her underwear. But they do it because podcasters are the best at deny, attack. We like to argue around people and avoid the questions. So they hired all these social media influencers to be in our government, like the FBI director and whatnot, because they're just podcasting with power. You know, they're just sort of like just putting on a show. And they're fucking us in the back room. You know what I mean? Like, and then it's not the good kind, you know, it's like very painful and costs a lot of lives. But are you surprised? She says thousands of people died. They've killed thousands of our people. It's the same weapons of mass destruction lie. And then when asked where, like, just give me a location. She should write the next, you know, hit piece on me, because whenever they attack you and me too, it's always an anonymous source and they never know where it happened and they never know who really was behind it. But Blair White, a transgender, said it's true. So it is, you know, and it's like, that's a dude with plastic in his chest that looks like a sex doll. That's not a good one. It's disgusting. I don't care what that animal, that mutant says about me or my friends. This is our politician. What do you think about this?
Well, she's a scumbag, and it's so obvious that they're just getting the talking points. So you go on Fox News, you go on the shows, whatever, and you're literally just given the talking points. And he called her out. I don't know who the interviewer is, but he called her out on the carpet. She says, well, Iran is the #1 state sponsor of terrorism. That's a talking point. That is literally a memo that somebody got okay, we're going to do our media circuit. We're going to do our interview. Here's the talking points. You want to defend the war? These are the lists. And he goes, oh, really? What terrorist attacks? And she goes, well, I'm not going to give you an example. Oh, okay. So they're the #1 state sponsor of terrorism. There's not a single example. You want to know why you can't give a single example? Well, there's really 2 reasons. One, you don't even know what you're talking about. You have no clue. You have no understanding or comprehension of the issue. You don't know the history. You were fed a talking point, which you have now delivered. Secondly, there are no terrorist attacks. There have been 0 Iranian-backed terror attacks on U.S. soil. So people say, well, they're a state sponsor of terrorism. Against who? Against Israel. Against the Middle East. Yes, they are sponsoring militant groups that sometimes use terrorist tactics. That's not a distinction that I want to quibble about. Hamas, Hezbollah, but these are regional actors with regional ambitions. Iran is backing Hezbollah or Shiite militias or the Houthis or Gaza because of regional ambitions. They want to influence the countries in the Middle Eastern region. But it's not as if they're backing terrorist cells in America, killing American civilians or anything like that. As a matter of fact, it's very much the opposite. When you look at the terror attacks in America, almost all of them are committed by Sunni fundamentalists, not Shiite fundamentalists. And those Sunni terror groups like ISIS, Al-Qaeda, they literally get their ideology and many of their personnel from Saudi Arabia. You look at where that Salafi fundamentalist ideology, Wahhabism, where does that come from? It comes from Saudi Arabia. And if you look at the hijackers on 9/11, of course, we know Israel had prior knowledge of it, but where did they come from? Most of them came from Saudi Arabia. Okay. Most of the other ones, the ISIS terrorist attacks, those are committed by other groups, refugees from Syria, refugees from other countries. So when she says, well, we have to go to war with Iran because of terrorism, that's a talking point. You don't know what you're talking about. And it's not even true. And this gets to the heart of the matter, which, we just talked about. Tim Sheehy, Anna Paulina Luna, these people are betraying their constituents. And they think it's like a joke. They think it's not even serious. You see how glib she is? You see how smug and aloof she's on the show? She goes, well, you're just a pundit and I don't have to list every example and blah, blah. They don't even care. We are at war with Iran. It's totally unthinkable. They don't even care. They don't even know. They have no clue. And this is why I've been saying for a long time, very controversial, people need to make the connection that we are getting this war because of the people that we vote for. Okay, let's be very clear. The Republican Party brought us to war in Iran. A Republican Senate blocked the War Powers Resolution. A Republican president and vice president and Secretary of State and Secretary of Defense, they signed off on this. And a lot of people say, well, that's our team and we got to keep voting for them and all this. I say, fuck all that. These people betrayed us. They are anti-American. They got to go. They got to be purged.
Agreed.
So I see that. I'm not surprised in the slightest.
Well, okay, but this is not even a joke. So for people that are new to the red pill, you go, how evil are these people? Remember when they protested for the ability to rape Palestinian prisoners? This is a real video clip, guys. It's not a fabricated story. The Israeli IDF soldiers were caught on video anally raping. That was very graphic. Sorry for people that have children in the room. This is not a children's show, but this is what they're doing. They were anally sodomizing a Palestinian soldier, allegedly. And the government was like, hey, we can't rape prisoners anymore. And then the people got mad. So when you say it's just the government, like, oh, I don't hate the country, that argument. I just hate the government. Like, I hate the American government. It's like, not me. I don't even like the people that live there, actually, at all. And it's not because they're Jewish. It's because they're terrible and they like to rape people. Watch. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. A culture that's like, is that based or not based pro-rape, like soldiers? I don't even know, actually. I don't know if I'm going to mess up the talking point here. The point is I don't know if they're like very nationalistic and we're supposed to respect them, that they hate their enemies more than anything. But I don't understand like why people support this country. Christians in particular support this country because of, I believe, just weird Zionist doctrine from the evangelical and non-denominational movements that came in, of course, and sort of pressured them. And, my background is Calvary Chapel. and I was trained to love Israel. Like it was weird. It was like I have pictures on my Instagram. My dorm room, we had an Israeli flag. And one day I asked people, like, why do we support this country? And no one even knew why. And there's a lot of Christians who actually think that like they're the chosen people, and they don't realize that God chose them because Jesus died on the cross. The covenant is now through Christ. So they actually think there's like Jews are better than them. I think that we have a fundamental issue that goes beyond government, though, Nick, in our society, where even like a lot of the evangelical Christians, who, by the way, are better people than me, more moral people than me. So I'm not going to throw the evangelicals under the bus, but I think we got a 10 front war. They say it's 8 front, but we've also got to get this doctrine out of our churches. Don't support the people that rape prisoners. Don't support the people that are going to put your kids on the ground to be raped and killed. Like, we've got to reform the Christian church as well. I don't know if you touch on that a lot. You're Catholic. The Catholics are based on this topic, in my opinion. Shout out the Catholics, the Orthodox too. Screw the Orthodox as well for kind of throwing me under the bus recently, but we won't get into that. But yeah, I mean, we have a fundamental problem. That's all I want to touch on. It goes beyond government. Our society is cooked, and they're being brainwashed into supporting Israel. And it's like, how do you undo that? It's like kind of like fighting Muslims. How do we fight the Christian heresies?
Well, I think in my view, this is something that a lot of people fixate on, and it's definitely a leverage point. I think that's how you have to recognize it, because what that represents is basically a voting bloc, that there is a large number of white evangelical Christians in the South and in other parts of the country also, but predominantly in the South, and they are basically the constituency for a pro-Israel GOP. And so I know that Tucker Carlson and others have really honed in on that, which I think is smart. I think that's very strategic thinking, because if you can persuade this large number of evangelical Christians that the theology is wrong, and even just point out some of the logical errors in that and chip away at that, that is actually hurting the constituency that is voting for this all the time. Maybe even the only remaining reliable constituency that's pro-Israel. So I think that's a pain point. That's definitely a leverage point and a pain point for the pro-Israel cause in America. However, I think that is as much as you can say about it. I think it's a little bit overstated. I think, for example, Tucker is targeting that for that reason. I think other people like to talk about evangelical Christians because that is sort of a convenient scapegoat. And we all know why. We all know what I'm talking about. When you see that our government is plunged into a war for Israel against Iran, who is naturally to blame? Well, Israel. And you look at Israel, that's a foreign country. How is Israel getting America to do this? Well, Israel has its tentacles in America, and those tentacles are American Jewry, American Jewish billionaires, American Jewish organizations. And so people don't want to take it there. They don't want to say it's American Jews, it's Israel. We don't like the way that sounds. It's a ethnic and religious minority, so it sounds a certain way, it comes across a certain way, it's a taboo. And so I think for some people, they like to scapegoat the evangelicals because we're used to blaming white people and Christians for everything. So we say, well, it's actually really complicated. It's not just the Jews, it's also evangelicals. And there's a lot of neocons that are Gentiles too. And I think sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes that can be used to obfuscate the truth. And I would point to the fact that we have a Jewish power matrix in America. It is Jewish. All this stuff comes from the Old Testament. When they bomb Iran on the holiday of Purim and they call Iran the Amalekites, what is the Old Testament? What does the Hebrew Bible say about the Amalekites? It says, kill all of them, kill their women, kill their children, literally genocide them. So you've got the Jewish state comprised of Jewish people based on the Jewish religion on a Jewish holiday, destroying the Jewish enemy from the Old Testament in exactly the fashion described. And people want to say it's evangelicals. People want to say it's the Gentile neocons. And I always say the character of the fifth column is Jewish. Jewish identity is inextricable from it. And as to whether we should support it, I don't think there's anything Christian about that, anything about that mentality. So that's my response to the video.
Yeah, okay, so let's jump on to the next topic, which is the title of the show about the bombing of Cyprus. If people don't know, Cyprus is a small like island, I guess you could call it. It's debatable whether it's Europe, but it is an EU member. Like there's a lot of non-European people that live on it, right? So we hope that the bomb went there, because win white people, right? Let's not kill any more of them. But yeah, so here's what's happening here. She basically breaks this down, and then we'll get into this, whether this is people are saying it's a false flag, like Stu Peters said. I don't know if we have any evidence for that, but this is a very contentious topic right now, because when one EU member is attacked, they say we are all attacked, right? That's the whole Ukraine. Ukraine isn't even the EU, but they're like, it's still our friend and our brother. You can be gay there too. You can have as much gay sex as you want in this place, so they're our friends. And that's basically that's what they're saying. Check this out.
To update you with some of the latest information that we're getting from the Ministry of Defence, and this is about UK military use around the Gulf. We're hearing overnight RAF Typhoon and F-35B jets continued defensive air operations across the Middle East, with support from Voyager air-to-air refuelling in defence of British interests and allies. Important, I think, that the word defensive operations and defence is included in that from the Ministry of Defence, as Keir Starmer has made it very clear that is what UK troops are doing, defensive operations only. They can also confirm that a Shaheed-like drone which targeted RAF Akrotiri on the 2nd of March, that was the drone that came in at midnight. They are saying that was not launched from Iran. So that is interesting and significant. They are not giving us any information as yet as to where they think that was launched from. But a drone that hit RAF Akrotiri, that was the one I think that caused damage to the airstrip, did not come from Iran, was not launched from Iran, obviously may well have come via Iran. And in the last 24 hours, the UK has resupplied air defence systems to British and allied bases across the region, including UK-built air defence.
All right, we're going to talk about this in a second, but before we jump into that, I just want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors for today, which of course is our friends at AmeriCorps. Guys, if you want to invest in your life into something that is good, that is valuable, think about investing not just into silver, but right now the silver, the actual metal, there's a leverage that's opening up in the ground. It's literally this mine. Enter AmeriCorps. This isn't a brand new exploration play with uncertain potential. It's a historic mine that has already produced over 5 million ounces of silver. So you're investing in a company that's literally mining silver. With historical data indicating a potential resource of over 28 million ounces still in the ground, silver is hitting a new all-time high. And investors are searching for high-impact exploration stories, and they're looking straight towards the silver state. That's where AmeriCorps Resources is positioning itself, trading under AMCOF in the U.S. and AMCO in Canada. You can invest if you're in Canada, viewer, or if you're in the United States on your market. Thanks to AmeriCorps Resources for making today's video possible. Check them out at AmeriCorpsResources.com. That's AmeriCorpsResources.com. That's AmeriCorpsResources.com. Check them out and consider an investment. This is not financial advice, and I'm not asking anyone to spend their money on anything with any guarantees. As you know, all betting markets and stock markets like this have potential risk for loss. Please spend and invest responsibly. All right, coming back to the important part here, I got my guest on today, host of the America First podcast, Nick J. Fuentes, also known as the realest nigga in town. That's what they call him. You got the real G, which is Tate, but you got the real nigga, and that's our boy right here. And I just want to say, shout out to him as well. I'm not going to touch base on the personal stuff. We're going to stick to the news. This show's always been about the news. We've never been about gossip. But if many of you may know, I've gone through some pretty tough stuff recently, and Nick has just been very supportive, very helpful, and not just like, in front of the camera or in some sort of performative way where, he's like trying to get clout or look like a good guy. Just behind the scenes, he really is a good person. And, him and I have had our beefs before, and even some of these people are going to try to get between our friendship publicly. He's aware of that. But, we're very good friends today. And I just wanted to say to the Groyper community, thank you guys for rallying behind me in a time when we can't lose our allies. If we're fighting against the deep state, you're fighting against, the Israeli state. That's what we're really fighting against. They're going to try to take us out, pick us off, destroy us. And I think Nick understands the seriousness of the situation. And so do I. And I just wanted to give a shout out to that. And the amount of people that from the Groyper community who are here guest watching, you don't even like me. You're just trying to support Nick. I appreciate you guys. And maybe you should stick around and watch a little more. All right, I'm going to jump straight to you with this bombing in Cyprus. was this legitimate? Like, and is this something that we think is going to escalate the war, or do you think the British are just going to back off and be like, hey, it was an accident? Because we know the drone allegedly didn't even launch from Iran. It's hard for me to predict what's next, but this seems like a great opportunity to expand the war if they wanted to, or a time to not expand the war and tell people we're not trying to escalate because let's not do that shit. I don't know where you think they're taking this.
Well, it's very interesting, isn't it? Because Iran obviously is targeting all of the Gulf countries, and we know why that is. They're hitting Kuwait, the Emirates, Qatar, Saudi Arabia. And obviously, I think the plan there is by bombing hotels and airports and U.S. military assets in those countries, the goal is to pressure the Gulf countries to lobby Washington to stop the war. These are countries that are now highly dependent on tourism and foreign investment, and it tends to deter foreign investment and tourism if you're getting hit with missiles. Nobody wants to stay in a hotel that's getting hit with a ballistic missile or a drone or something. And so in the calculation from Iran, if they can weaken these countries' economies, if they can create enough of a fuss, for example, in Dubai, in Doha, in Bahrain, then these Gulf countries will exert political influence on Washington to try to seek an off-ramp and an end to the conflict as quickly as possible. Now, that brings us to the question of Cyprus, where you have Royal Air Force assets stationed, and this is not actually in the theater of conflict. The theater of conflict right now is the Persian Gulf, where the tankers are being hit. It is in the Persian Gulf nations. Again, nations that have influence over America, where their oil infrastructure is being hit, airports, hotels, etc. It is the U.S. military bases in the Gulf, but also in Erbil, in Jordan, and of course also Israel, which is part of the joint operations. Now, Cyprus is all the way in the eastern Mediterranean, way outside the range of Iran's short-range missiles. Believe it's within range of the medium-range missiles. And the thing is, the Royal Air Force is not in this fight. It's a U.S.-Israeli operation, not a British operation. The Europeans are not participating. So if the Royal Air Force gets hit, well, what would that tend to do? Well, it would tend to draw the United Kingdom into the fight, and maybe potentially France as well. And that's the question, is will America get outside help? They say that the Emirates and Qatar and Saudi Arabia either have already launched their own airstrikes against Iran or are planning to get involved in the conflict also. There are rumors that France is considering getting involved. They have 400,000 citizens in the region, close connections with Lebanon, Syria. There's pressure on the British government to intervene. So a drone falls on a Royal Air Force base, and the British say, well, this is interesting. Obviously, this puts us in a position where we might have to retaliate, but the drone did not come from Iran. They say it's a Shahed drone. These are the drones that Iran makes. At the same time, the United States is now producing Shahed copycats and using them against Iran. This was actually the first instance when the U.S. has utilized a suicide drone based on the Shahed model. Now, in my opinion, you could say this is either a Hezbollah drone launched from Lebanon, although I think that's extremely dubious. More likely, is this a false flag? Did Israel launch this at the United Kingdom in the hopes that the British enter the war? I don't think you can rule out that possibility. And that's the politics of the moment right now, is that Israel is trying to get everybody on board, everybody to participate. Britain, France, the Saudis, the Emiratis, the Qataris, as well as the United States that are already there. I think they want all hands on deck. So that's what this is. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, well, Stu Peters, his position, he said Israel tried to wipe out the British base in Cyprus and blame it on Iran. UK says the drone targeting British base in Cyprus did not originate from Iran. According to this update from the Ministry of Defense official government account, gray check mark is important, saying the UK operations in the Middle East. Overnight, RAF Typhoon and F-35B jets continued defensive air operations across the Middle East with support from the Voyager air-to-air refueling in defense of British interests and allies. The Ministry of Defense can confirm that a Shahed-like drone, which targeted RAF, how do you pronounce that? Akrotiri, at midnight on 2nd of March, was not launched from Iran. Sorry if I butchered that. In the last 24 hours, the UK has resupplied air defense systems to British and allied bases across the region, including UK-built air defense missiles, Royal Navy Wildcat helicopters armed with Marlin missiles capable of taking out aerial threats will arrive in Cyprus in the coming days. So, yeah, I think personally, everything is up for grabs. But I found out that I think we re-engineered or reverse engineered those drones. They found a downed one in Ukraine, I was reading, and it was Iranian built, and we didn't. It kind of makes me wonder about Anduril and Palantir, some of our defense companies like Lockheed or Northrop. Is why am I just finding out that they said basically Iran's going to topple like it's Iraq, right? That's what they're saying. I was just going to topple like Iraq. But you're telling me that Iran had advanced aerospace engineering that was beyond our capability, or not our capability, beyond what we had in our arsenal, and going into the position of saying they actually have technology that we're copying because we didn't even have that. What's the narrative there? I feel like there's a split narrative on this of saying Iran is the dumbest little country, and now saying they have technology beyond what we were able to supplant. Which one is it? And I think it's probably closer to the fact that they're a legitimate nation. It looks like that. It looks like these strikes aren't just toppling Saddam, right? There's no statue of the Imam just coming down. The baddies haven't unleashed their boobs. Like they just want. It's like OnlyFans has interest in this too because they just want more Iranians to be whores. Like that's what it is. It's like, can the Iranians be more gay and whorish? Please, we're gonna drop bombs on you and tell you little sluts come over here. And I see right-wing Twitter doing two things. They're either blaming Israel for everything and not thinking through the logistics of how complicated this is and trying to be accurate, which we're going to try to do on the show, or they're gooning to Iranian bitch bait. Like I just see that everywhere. It's like, can we just get these big boob baddies here in America? And you're like, you gooner, just get your brain off that for like 5 seconds and realize how serious this is. But also, yes, they can come here. But particularly to this state, come to Texas. We don't want it to be Indians. We have too many Indians. Give me the other eye people, the Iranians. The Indians are weird and smell funny, but whatever. And they block the aisles in Costco. I'm not a big fan of that. No, but I want to say, what do you think about that? Just like right-wing Twitter seems to have just says it's Israel doing a false flag. Like they've all agreed. It's like their finale.
Well, I think that that's probably the most likely. I don't know that America would do that. That doesn't seem like our style, but of course it's always possible. And, look, ultimately where this is going to go, it's very obvious. Israel is seeking to topple the regime. It seems once again, there is a disconnect between Washington and Tel Aviv, and it's subtle, but it's very important. It's very real. It seems that the White House play is that we were going to try a decapitation strike on Iran similar to Venezuela. The imperative for the United States is this war needs to be quick. It cannot go on for long. If it goes on for long, you have a couple of problems. We run out of missile interceptors. They say we could run out within days. Within days, we will have to pick and choose. We'll have to prioritize which positions we defend because we're not going to have enough Patriot batteries or THAAD systems to cover everybody in the Gulf, Iraq, Israel, everywhere. So one, this doesn't go on for weeks, months, because then we're just getting hit with missiles. Two, you also have the midterms coming up. And so this cannot become a pitched battle that drags on forever and ever because then you're already getting killed in the midterms. It's really going to be brutal if we're in a quagmire in the Middle East. So Trump is seeking a quick and easy decapitation like what he saw in Venezuela. And this is always the scam. This is the scam of rolling the iron dice. It's exactly what happened in Ukraine. Russia came into Ukraine thinking that the government in Kiev would fold immediately. Putin thought the government in Kiev is illegitimate. Ukraine is not a real nation. It's basically fake. They'd be greeted as liberators. And they thought they were going to march this into Kiev. They were going to take over the airport, take over the government, and it would be a quick and easy war. And what they found out is that Ukraine, one, they were going to fight, and two, they were supplied by the West with sophisticated defensive systems, shoulder-mounted missile launchers, as well as then the Patriot batteries. And you have then the Starlink, you have superior radar, early warning systems, and everything like that. We saw Russia get into this grinding war of attrition, this trench warfare, almost like World War I. And we said, oh, we would like some of that. Yes, we would like to make the same mistake and get into a debacle just like them. This gets back to that disconnect, though. Israel does not want a decapitation and leave the Iranian regime in place. They want a full-scale regime change. They want to topple the whole thing. And the only way you're going to get that is if you actually send in a ground force. Now, then the question becomes, who's going to do that? Now, there is no organized opposition in Iran. It's not really tenable for the United States to take on the whole thing. Maybe is the idea that if Israel can get everybody involved and everybody's bought in, so to speak, everybody's in on this, then maybe everybody supplies a little bit for a coalition force. Maybe you get the Kurds from Iraq, from northern Iraq. You get a little bit of U.S. ground forces. Maybe you get the Emiratis, who seem to be somewhat capable. Maybe you get some of the regional players. Maybe Turkey gets involved. And then arguably you get buy-in from France, the United Kingdom. Maybe that's the goal. If this is going to turn in, like in Iraq, to a coalition conflict where you're going to have many people in to stabilize, maybe the goal is to get as many people to buy in as possible. I think that we have to recognize is a distinct possibility.
Yeah, okay. I genuinely do not believe that this is World War III, but I do think that there is a very, very similar theme going on here that we do see from World War II and World War I of trying to get the coalitions together. Because one thing that people don't point out is the amount of F-35s, I think that's what it was, that we sold to the Gulf states over the last 20 years in Saudi Arabia. Why would we be selling our technology? I know we're a big arms dealer, that's what we do, but it was very particular with which states we were directing that at. And it seems to be the states that Iran is attacking. It seems like we've always wanted the Iran war. They've been wanting this for a long time. Like Buchanan warned us, they're going to get boots on the ground in Iran. That's why I cannot stop laughing at this. There's this guy on the internet who's like such a stupid bitch. Okay. Like what? He's literally a bitch. But the funny thing is he actually posted this. Will Stansel's, I love this account name, guys. Will Stansel's 2011 Zippy Honda Fit, I think it was, posted something like this. And it says this: Captive Dreamer, like all the copers at this point, said, if there's a single U.S. boot dropped on Iran during Trump's presidency, I'll make a video denouncing the entire MAGA movement. And then Cucker Tarleson, I also love these account names, said, where's the vid? And Captive Dreamer then goes, it doesn't even matter at this point. Of course, there is no boots on the ground in Iran, but even if there were, I don't care anymore. I've been wary of foreign intervention my whole life. But at this point, as long as he controls immigration, I don't care what happens. Let me ask you, Captive Dreamer, is he doing that? Is he controlling immigration? I thought that he wasn't doing such a good job at that either. And so it's like the copium is heavy and the copium wars are very powerful. And we're losing a lot of brothers with bigger foreheads than I have. You ever seen that guy's head? It's crazy. I won't say anything mean, but it's crazy. You're like, what the hell? Yeah, you have the copium and all these MAGA tards are coming out and this switched me, man. I'm gonna admit this, and I have a hard head, and you and I have beefed publicly. We've beefed on shows. We've had our bouts there. I was wrong telling my audience to vote for Trump. Okay.
Thank you.
I was wrong.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I
was wrong. So it was incorrect position. I think the position was not to vote. I didn't want to vote for Kamala, but I genuinely, I still only voted for him. I would have voted for him. I'm going to say this. I still would have voted for him because I was getting my employee, Michael Hennessy, out of a 5-year prison sentence for the J6 stuff. And I was trying to get my wiretapping investigation dropped. Who would know the FBI was back after me again? If you guys want to know anything about my life, watch my old content. We got some good stuff out there. I explain my whole life story. If that's something that interests you, you want to know about all the bullshit from Twitter and everything, just go watch that old video and make sure you watch it. It's 2.5 hours. It's all the drama and popcorn and stuff that you guys, little gossipy bitches just out there. Yeah, you can go watch that video. It's for you. But I want to go to Captive Dreamer here before we move on to the next topic. Is that guy an agent or something? Is he like a paid operative? Because it's like he's always got the worst position and he's always just like counter signaling anyone on the dissident right. It's like, is he being paid by, is he like Palantir's payroll or something? Is like, I'm being serious. There's a lot of these agents, and I bring this up to your audience. I'm only like basically hiring groypers now, by the way, because you have to be an ally and you have to be loyal. Reckless loyalty, we're demanding here at Rift now. Fuck you to everyone who crossed me. You got to be recklessly loyal if you want to be a part of this movement. But he showed me this. He goes, I'm getting attacked by these accounts that have Groyper in the name. And then he would be like, hey, he's allying with Nick. Don't like to test him. And then they would be like, fuck Nick Fuentes, or like, and then he'd be like, why do you have Groyper in the name? And they'd be like, I'm not a gay faggot or whatever. I'm not going to, like, all this crazy stuff. And I was like, dude, there's a bunch of like fake accounts that have a lot of followings that are claiming to be Groypers or like claiming to be patriots. And they're just like, what is that? Why would you're not a real Groyper? And Captive Dreamer, like, you're pushing the actual military industrial complex talking points. So it makes me wonder what bitch wakes up in the morning with a giant forehead, God bless you with the ability to have a big brain, and you're like, I'm just going to support the military industrial complex and whatever they tell me today. And that's what he's doing. He goes after you all the time too. He's a loser, but it still makes me question how many of our operatives, because we're going to go into a topic about paid influencers, but how many of these people are paid? Like, they came after you before, you know all that one. We worked that out behind the scenes, but this is serious shit.
You have to assume they're all being paid. You don't know that they're being paid. And here's the thing. I don't think that a guy like that is reluctantly shilling the talking points for his boss. The way you have to think of it is, if he wasn't a dutiful Republican shill, he would not be getting paid. So it's more of like a selection bias. It's more of like a survivorship bias than anything. When you say that someone is being paid, typically people think someone has no scruples, no loyalty. They're just a complete sellout. They're taking money to lie. And certainly some of that is going on. Some people don't care. Some people just do that. Maybe they're just indifferent. I think a lot of these people, for whatever reason, these are their real views. And they see it as, well, I'm getting paid to fight for the winning team. I'm getting paid to fight for the right side, or the side I believe in. So no doubt, these people that basically post 500 times a day, they probably are getting paid under the table. There was a big piece, actually, in the Wall Street Journal recently, and it talked about how that is really the new form of lobbying, because that's where the influence is, and it's totally unregulated. So in the past, if you were a business or a foreign government or a political party, you would pay money to a lobbyist, and a lobbyist would go to a politician or go to a media market or whatever, and they would push the message. And that was tightly regulated. There's a lot of oversight with the Federal Election Commission and everything else. Now what is happening is totally unregulated. People are paying influencers. And this was happening, everybody understands, on the Democrat side. All these micro influencers were being paid thousands and thousands of dollars to post like a pro-Kamala video on TikTok, or they were getting paid under the table to say good things about the Democrats. That's happening on the Republican side too. And there's a lot of very well-known campaigns, like, for example, when they tried to restrict whether food stamps could buy soda, all of a sudden every GOP influencer on Twitter was saying, that's anti-freedom. We should be able to buy soda with our food stamps if we want to. This is against freedom. And if we're Republicans, how can we? And it's like, oh, suddenly all these influencers now care that, black people can pay for Diet RC with their SNAP card, with their EBT card? Of course not. They were being paid under the table by Big Corn, because that's high fructose corn syrup, and that's a lot of it is being bought with the SNAP cards. It's a form of unregulated lobbying. Now, with regard to Captive Dreamer in particular, these people are just lost. And I think I've isolated it. The fundamental delusion that they all have is that they are in control. They say things like, well, as long as we're getting immigration, it's like this form of bargaining. It's like the bargaining stage of grief, where they say, well, okay, we're getting a war in Iran and we're probably going to get boots on the ground. This is an unthinkable betrayal. It's like almost surreal that we're witnessing it. It's the deepest betrayal in political history. But their cope is like, well, at least we're getting something. At least we're getting immigration control. And you go, hey, fucker. You are not in control of anything. You are not in charge. You didn't make a deal. You didn't voluntarily make a deal. You gave them your vote for free. They took it, and now they're doing everything that they want and none of what you want. You have no control over the situation. And I saw that with Steven Crowder too. And I like Steven Crowder. I respect him a lot. But I saw him today. He goes, okay, so we're at war with Iran. He goes, well, I don't think it's going to be longer than 3 months. He goes, if it's longer than 3 months, then maybe I won't vote in the midterms. It's like, you are not in control here. What do you mean? Like, the war is going to go on as long as Israel wants it to go on, and you're probably going to vote regardless. So it's always drawing these artificial lines, creating these parameters that are always going to change. Well, you know, bombing Iran isn't a real war. I'll have a problem when it's boots on the ground. Oh, it's boots on the ground? Well, I never cared. Oh, is boots on the ground now? Well, as long as it doesn't go on for 3 months. So these people need to realize we have to take the power back. And the only way to take the power back is to be independent and say the GOP doesn't own us. We're not going to vote for them every time. We're willing to play both sides. I know I keep returning to that, but I really think that's the only thing that we can do. And you know, if people want to protest and do the other stuff, I mean, knock yourself out. But I really believe that is the sickness. It's these people, they will never go against, they'll never go against the GOP. That's the problem.
Well, but it hurts. Like I'm gonna be a real ass nigga myself here for a second, because they've pushed me to my limit. Okay, these people have pushed me to the limit. Okay, the days of Elijah playing nice, playing in the big tent, they're fucking over, mate. All right, so basically, I'm going to lose a lot of money this year in the midterms, because I'm not lobbying for the Republican Party anymore. And to tell people like how it works, I'm on really, really strict NDAs. And so I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus. You know, I've got enough legal trouble myself, but I'll probably lose this year about $60,000, or like just for one organization not lobbying for them. And, you know, to a lot of people, $60,000 is what you live off of. That's your salary for the whole year. And I can make that in about 30 days, 30 days during the midterms lobbying for these people. I never like one campaign, because they pay you per view. And like if your stuff goes viral. So like if you get a post, let's say they'll be like quickly, like I'll pay you $7.50 for a post. And then you also get like $2 or $1 for every 1,000 impressions. So then if your thing goes viral, so that's why everyone will juice each other's campaigns, then you can get, you know, 2.4 million, you know, views, you get $2,400 extra dollars. So you can just tweet something out one night and make $3,000, and it's like deposited into your account within 30 days. So that's how it works. Okay. And I've participated in it. And I think I was the only one who was honest that I was I'm the only guy who's ever said I've lobbied for the Republican Party, because I think it's illegal to not disclose that. I guess I could be wrong, but this is the funniest shit. I don't know if you saw this story. We'll talk about Tucker Carlson in a second, but this is actually like kind of insane. Talk about this is the most Jewish segment that I will ever cover in my entire life. Okay, this is so funny. There was an organization that was paying influencers for like that. They were paying lobbyists. What the hell? Okay. They were paying lobbyists to lobby for them. And apparently the Israeli government is facing a lawsuit after failing to pay influencers for pro-government posts. It says here that lawsuits for millions recruited for public diplomacy. That's what they're calling paid lobbying, public diplomacy. That's crazy. Recruited for public diplomacy at the height of the crisis and found no one to pay them. The chaos in the government's public diplomacy system is rampant. The system faces lawsuits for millions from suppliers who have not been paid. Alongside this, a police investigation is underway into the forgery of a signature by a former employee of the Prime Minister's office. And this is the body that is supposed to manage the campaign for Israel's image in the world during wartime. Seriously, by the way, guys, most Jewish thing ever. Political subversive individuals from the United States allegedly were offered blood money to shill for a war. They lie and call it public diplomacy, don't disclose it, and then they rip those motherfuckers off. They ripped them off. They shilled for Israel for free, and then they pulled the rug and were like, bitch, we ain't paying you. And then guess what? That's what it says. It's even more Jewish. It gets even better. And then in order to get the money, they get tied in $1 million lawsuits. You got to use their lawyers. You got to use Jewish lawyers to try to go get your Jewish money for your Jewish posts, you Jewish cocksucking bitch. Go suck some Jewish cock, you stupid fucking bitch. Go kiss the wall. Stick your dick in the wall, bitch. All right? Seriously, though. Stop humping that. That's so weird. But I don't know what you think about that story, but that cracked me up. I was laughing. My little self, I was like, laughing, rubbing my hands together like I'm a fly. Shit's so, it's like so fucking funny. No, you know that? Like, the flies raise the Jews. They're the ones who taught them that, because they like to play in shit. It's fly behavior. I don't know, but that's funny, right? These guys, I know a lot of these people by name who are taking the money, but it's just funny that they got the rug pulled. Don't ever trust the Jews.
Serves them right. Serves them right. They trusted the Jews. Well, and you know, it's so typical. What's funny though, and you'll find this all over the government. I know people in the administration. I know people that work at the highest levels. And it's because when I say these things on my show, people that are out there in America probably have never even met a Jewish person. I would venture to guess that unless you live in like LA, New York, Southern Florida, if you're a pretty average person, blue collar worker, whatever, you may have never come across a Jew in your entire life, let alone an Israeli, let's say. And so when I talk about this on my show, most people don't really understand this attitude because it's just not their reality. If you live in a small town, if you're in the trades or something like that, if you're, again, in any other state or city between the coasts, with some exceptions, your exposure to these people is probably very, very limited. The people that know them the best, the people that deal with them the most, and I'm talking about people in government that I know that operate with the Israelis in a defense context, in an intelligence context, it is like, it's not even a secret. They all will tell you the Israelis are the biggest scumbags. It's like they lie to you because they can't even help it. They lie about everything. They're always trying to trick you. It's not subtle. It's not clever. They almost do it compulsively. And these are not even people, by the way, that are anti-Semites. These are not people that are groypers necessarily. This is just everybody in the defense or intelligence community, anybody that has to deal with them if they go to a trade show, they go to a convention, whatever, a symposium, dealing with the Israelis, they roll their eyes and they go, that's the fucking Israelis. They go, oh, yeah, you know, check your hotel room. They're probably spying on you. They probably put a camera in there because everybody just knows that's how they are. And I'm not making that up. It's just true. Tucker told me that. Other people, when I had dinner with him, other people have told me that in DC. And it just gets to the heart of the matter, which is these are the fucking people we are dealing with. And most people, again, that's just not their lived experience, so they don't get it.
Listen, it always is. Like when I was brand new, I was getting drunk with Dan Crenshaw. We'll talk about him later. Dan Crenshaw. Well, sorry, buddy. We all lose. We all lose eventually.
Loser.
You know? When you serve the Jews, you lose eventually. Short win. I was with him and Dave Rubin. So I'm with a Jew and a Jewish servant. And we're drinking outside. They're pretty drunk and whatever. And I'm having just a conversation, you know, whatever you would talk about with a congressman and a gay dude who's married to another guy named Dave Rubin. It's so weird. You know, I guess we were plotting renting wombs or whatever, you know, stealing some more kids. We're just chatting. And then I look over and Flecka's had an intern that he hired. She was very, very hot. This is how they always get in, a little hot blonde. She's a little hot blonde. And yeah, it's my favorite kind. And so she's like there, and I see her phone, and I flip her phone over, and she's recording our entire conversation. She's recording our entire conversation. And I go, what the fuck? I was like, what are you doing? Like, what do you have business recording this? And I was brand new. That was, I think 2018 or 2019 when I was brand new. I'm with a congressman and another prominent person, and someone's assistant is there. I think he fired her after that. Fleckus has nothing to do with that. I'm not pulling him down. I think he fired her after that because he couldn't trust her. And that's not the first time. I mean, I'm currently under a plot, which I'm not going to go into the details, where I was being secretly recorded. They bugged my office. I'll talk about the work part about it. My brother-in-law is working with the FBI and admits it in the leaked emails, and he bugged my office. They were recording employees and conversations inside of my office without my consent, where it's a two-party state. So what I'm telling people is it's not just a story like what he's mentioning. This is like actually very serious. They sabotage you, which is why I want to read this story here. Nick just brought it up to me before the show. But Tucker Carlson, which is kind of crazy, Tucker Carlson's multi-million-dollar Alp nicotine shipment was hijacked. What does that mean? That's super weird. Tucker Carlson's dealing with a stressful situation, and he's got no nicotine pouches to calm him because hijackers stole a whole shipment of his product, TMZ has learned. We are told from a former Fox News host, Brand Alp, Pouches was to sell a limited edition nicotine pouch line called Alp Drifters, but a shipment containing 378,000 tins. Man, this guy's making a lot of money from this company. I buy Alp, so was stolen last week, less than 24 hours after the company publicly announced the product. Win Nicotine. The shipment of Alp Drifters, which is said to be worth millions, was picked up in Southern California logistics facility by someone who presented what appeared to be legitimate operating credentials, the company told TMZ in a statement. And like, okay, that's a pretty sophisticated heist there, okay? Not the first time I've heard of someone getting their car stolen due to a government intervention. But I'm saying they stole a car, not just any car. They stole this nigga's shit. Like, you know, like this messed up his company. And I know you have your own conversations with Tucker, but like, what? I was shocked when you told me this. I'm like, Tucker is outspoken against the war, and then he gets his truck stolen.
That's an intelligence operation. That is so clearly and obviously. So, I mean, who else could pull that off? The story is, so the story goes, that somebody pretending to be the legitimate truck driver showed up to the facility where these out pouches, I don't know if they were being manufactured or if they're just being held there as inventory, but a truck driver pretending to be legitimate came there, falsified his credentials and said, yeah, throw the out pouches in the truck, took off with them, disappeared. This is a week ago. That's long gone, never going to come back. Do you know what a serious hit that is? What a serious hit that is to Tucker's bottom line? That's like, they're trying to bankrupt this guy, and they're sending a message, which is, we're going to destroy your business. We're going to go after your money. Who's doing this exactly? That almost seems like an Israeli intelligence operation or some kind of intel operation. And that's a U.S. citizen. So where's the FBI? Where's the CIA? This is bullshit. And he's being targeted, obviously, for his First Amendment rights. And me and Tucker, obviously, have our differences. I have my beef with him, obviously. With that being said, he went to the White House and lobbied against the war. He has that relationship with Trump. He goes and gets invited to the White House and gives his counsel. And then he goes on his show, which is one of the biggest shows in the country, and he tells everybody what Israel's doing and how we need to oppose the war. And then a week before the war starts, his business gets raided in what looks like some kind of heist. And that's when you say, where's the FBI? Where's the CIA? You can't let this happen where people get targeted and attacked for expressing their First Amendment right, either talking to our own government or talking to our own people about what our government is doing. This is like, that's freaky. I mean, you're used to seeing that in the Middle East where people get blown up with pagers and stuff like that. This is happening in the United States. I believe they said it was, they took the shipment to Tennessee or something. It's like, it's terrifying, honestly. And this is just the next wave. They're escalating.
Yeah, heading towards Kentucky. Sorry, that's what it said.
Right.
Kentucky to Los Angeles. Let me just bring this up here. That was this is the United States, guys. Like this is our country. And now you're having intelligence operations. Someone in the chat said the FBI is busy auditing Elijah's marriage. Like it's like, but that is true. Like the FBI is just busy doing bullshit to attack the American people. You think when our last president, not right before Trump, right? When Joe Biden said, like, the real enemy is from within, and like we got to direct our intelligence operations from within. You think the FBI, like when we voted Trump in, just changed that and was like, no, that was that racist anti-white guy. Now we're based. Now the FBI is based. We got an Indian with cross eyes. Don't sue me, Cash. I know you don't like me. Don't sue me. But they got the cross-eyed guy, and he's like, I'm going to go change the FBI. And then he's like telling us that we're all bitches for wanting to get the Epstein files. And remember that interview, that freaky interview he did with Dan Bongino, where they're like, they look like they're going to get killed. And like, I've seen the files. There's nothing in them. And then like now we're getting the files and there's like a lot of shit in them, you know, like these are betrayers. They have betrayed us. And I want to play this video. Because people say, what does betrayal look like? I want you to witness betrayal on a silver platter. The U.S. Senate has blocked a measure to force President Trump to end strikes on Iran without congressional approval. Blocking a measure
that we have there that sort of explains a bit better what we're seeing there from the unofficial tally from this roll call vote. And so right now we have the full 100 votes sitting in there with 48 yays and in the nay column 52. This has been expected at this point. I did want to let you know.
Betrayal. Your government has betrayed you, Anon. Stop watching your BAP esoteric, fantastical, whimsical idea of exposure. Stop putting your balls in the sun. That's not going to save you. You know what I mean? It's like, raw milk is not going to give you victory. Like, we need the removal of an entire regime. Like we need a regime change in the United States. Like that's what we need. And I got to be careful. Be very careful when I say that, because I'm not saying I'm going to regime change the United States. I am not calling anyone to regime change the United States. I am just saying that this current solution that we have, this group and this cabal has so much control in our country that literally they can do whatever they want and you have to pay for it. And it makes me sick, man. It makes me sick to my stomach.
Well, and what's disturbing about it is their reach. When you consider that the Ayatollah of Iran, he turned his country into a fortress. It took them 20 years. These people are brutal. They lost millions in the Iran-Iraq war. They turned their country literally into a fortified fortress underground in the mountains. They've been preparing for this war for 20 years, building a nuclear program, building a missile program, ballistic missile cities, production facilities under the ground. And you think about how they got liquidated in 2 seconds. That's the reach of these people. You stand in the way of their interests. You actively oppose them. It doesn't matter if you are protected by nukes, missiles, you're 10,000 feet underground inside of a mountain. You've got 200,000 Revolutionary Guard protecting you. That is their reach. They can touch you. Do you have, Elijah, how many ballistic missiles do you have? How much highly enriched uranium do you have? How many Revolutionary Guard willing to die do you have? And the same question for Tucker, and the same question for Marjorie and for Candace Owens and for the rest of them. How much stuff do you have to... Okay, you should feel very vulnerable. You should feel very unsafe, because you're not. They had Hezbollah running around for 10 years with pagers and walkie-talkies that they think they sourced from, who knows, some other country. And Hezbollah building tunnels underground with thousands of rockets and all these soldiers. They were talking to each other. Oh, are we on a secure line? Okay, we're getting ready. And one day their head is blown off by the pager, because guess what? Israel made the pagers. Israel put plastic explosives remotely triggered in the pagers. And one day, the Ayatollah gets blown up because somebody in his inner circle for 10 years was giving his real-time location to the Israelis. That's their reach. And the only difference between Iran, Hezbollah, and the dissidents in this country is we're not as big of a problem yet for Israel. Iran is in their way. Hamas is in their way. Hezbollah is in their way. We are not in their way yet. But when we are in their way, you take a look at the Ayatollah. That's your fate. Take a look at the Nazi survivors that were hunted down in South America. That's your fate. And people need to wake up and realize it's not just about, our taxpayer money and blah, blah, blah. It is about their penetration of our society and what modern weaponry enables them to do. Satellite spying, AI, all that kind of stuff. It's like it's a techno-slavery state. It's penetrated by Israel, our big tech, little tech, and it has those political ramifications. It kind of should be a little bit terrifying.
Well, it is. You asked me how many Patriot missiles I have. I have one, and it works, okay? That's all I wanted to say. I got one missile, and God bless us all with one. So if you've got one, arm yourself. You need big balls to fight this shit. And to bring this a little bit personal, like we are in their way though enough. Okay, so this is going to be a stretch. I'm not going to put words in James O'Keefe's mouth, but James O'Keefe caught Matthew Tieramond, who's a Jewish political operative, on camera, threatening to kill James. I don't know if you saw that. He threatened to kill James, and he admitted that he worked as an FBI informant for the FBI in New York City. Okay, so you got this guy. He's the guy who people want to know why is Matthew Tieramond important. He's the guy who made up all the accusations to James O'Keefe, got him kicked out of Project Veritas. So you got this Jewish operative working with the FBI. And if you're working with the FBI and you're Jewish, you're probably working with Mossad as well. Just use your brain, or their other intelligence, departments. And he destroys Project Veritas, because what is Project Veritas doing? They're exposing corruption in the government. So you have to destroy this guy, because you can't let him have his company. Now he restarts O'Keefe Media, and it's successful, and it didn't work. So now they threaten to kill him. Okay, so this is what's happening. And basically what he exposed with Matthew Tierman is that there is this operation with the FBI to dismantle conservative, even though I'm not conservative. I know a lot of you Groypers are, and I support conservatives. They're to right-leaning or MAGA influencers, there is a anti-campaign from the FBI. He exposed this. You can go watch his documentation to dismantle companies and individuals who are moving against state objectives, aka Israeli objectives, before this war particularly. Okay, so that's why when you see weird things, like people think it doesn't affect them, it's like, okay, I get this public attack from a gay Jew, and then on the other hand, the same day, I'll just say this to bring it to the company, the same day I get a rush judgment from the federal court for my case against Alexis Wilkins, which is the FBI director's girlfriend, saying that they're expanding the investigation and the trial, that I'm set to go to trial in September, I think, but we're going to trial. And now I'm going to be held accountable for every single tweet or video I've made about Israel, everything I said during the time of this lawsuit, and everything going forward. And that the best legal advice to my counsel told me, the way that you're going to keep yourself out of trouble is they just want you to shut up about Israel. This is not a joke. This is public documentation. This is publicly available information with the federal court in Florida. It's like, I am essentially being sued for being anti-Semitic, even though I never claimed to be, but I am being told, shut up about Israel or we're going to, destroy your company. But the truth of the matter is they had multiple ways they were going after my company. They had multiple ways they were going after my investors and blackmailing people. And, I break it all down in that video. And it's like, and I think to myself, someone in my family was like, I think you have ideas of grandeur. I think you're not that important. I go, guys, I think that you don't understand how much they don't like the dissident right. Like, I don't think you understand. Like they can't kill us all right now. And so they tested it with Charlie, not the Jews, just like someone killed Charlie and it didn't work, right? We don't know who killed Charlie, but I'm going to say it definitely inspired a lot of people to fight harder. And it definitely radicalized me. I think it radicalized a lot of people. But I'm just saying, to point this out, they tried to, I don't know who, do you even know who? They tried to kill Nick Fuentes, okay? Like, that freaked me the fuck out, dude. Like a guy got killed trying to kill you, and then they mocked you for it. Like they made fun of you. Like it was it was some joke. It's like, bro, someone tried to kill an American citizen. Like that's not okay. I mean, I don't think I really asked you on air, man. Like, are you protecting yourself? Is that changed your reality at all? Like, to realize how important and like sort of influential you've become? That did mark for him. Like, no, he's like their number one enemy. And I get nervous for you sometimes, bro.
Yeah, it changed everything. Not only that, but even the assassination of Charlie Kirk. We're out here, we're getting shot at. It happened to me in December of 24. That I don't know that he was an intelligence operative. He seemed just like, I don't even know what that was exactly. It seemed like maybe he was some kind of disaffected young man. And without getting too much into the weeds on that one, he just seemed like he had some screws loose and maybe he was looking to gain infamy or notoriety. But that happens. And then it happened to Charlie Kirk. That was real. That's literally life and death. He's on September 9th, Turning Point was sort of a joke. I mean, obviously it's an impressive operation. It's not a joke in that sense. It's a very consequential political group, but okay, socialism sucks. Big Gov sucks. It's kind of, we thought it was stupid. We thought it was silly. I thought Charlie Kirk was a silly man. He got shot in the neck for what he was doing, whatever the story is there. And, now with this Tucker thing, Candace Owens, she says that she is the victim of a hit squad plot. Now, I don't know if that's true about what's happening with France, but I happen to know that other people tried to kill her. People have tried to kill Tucker Carlson. So we are all literally being hunted for speaking out about this on a big platform, for influencing people's hearts and minds, their votes, etc. We're literally being hunted. And that's when James O'Keefe, who I don't really know him particularly well, I don't even think I've ever met him, but he always had this, he has this great quote, which I've said on my show before. He said, the price for telling the truth is your life. Because ultimately, telling the truth is going to get people to try to bribe you with lots of money and try to compromise you with all kinds of things, honeypots and whatever. And ultimately, if none of that works, they'll just try to kill you. And you have to literally be willing to give up your life or risk giving up your life to tell the truth. because those are the stakes. If somebody comes to you and says, stop talking about this or we will kill you or we will lock you up, stop talking about this and we will give you $1 million, stop talking about this and, we will furnish you with a particular lifestyle. The only people that can freely tell the truth are the people that say no to all of those things. And it is that serious. A lot of people will say, oh, it's just a stupid talk show. Oh, that's, come back to reality, touch grass. Politics isn't real life. Just go back to, worry about your wife and kids and your school board. If you want to if you want to tell the truth about our American empire, and if you have any impact at all, any influence, these are the kinds of questions you have to begin to ask about yourself. And you have to know that about yourself, what you're willing to give up. And it's sort of dramatic and it's dark. But that's the story of mankind. Actually, as Tucker Carlson said, that's a story of Jesus, which is tell the truth, literally be the truth, get crucified. And it's grim, but it's true.
Yeah, I'm going to go into an ad read in a second, but I just want to make a personal note on this because Nick and I've spoken to Nick, obviously off record, and this is a show, and I don't really want to, talk about certain details of my life. I have every right for privacy. But like right now, my counsel, like we're in court, we're in federal court. They believe, and this is their best guess right now, they believe that the blackmail and all that stuff that came out. Remember, guys, there was demands. I had to delete my social media ahead of the trial. What was the blackmail? I delete my social media until the trial, and I had to go to rehab and declare myself insane for a substance that nobody knew what it was because I'm not on any substances. I'm just intense like this. This is who I am. But there was blackmail, and that blackmail, I said no. I said, fuck you, post my dick even. And people gave me shit for that. But I think these people should be more loyal because I just got recklessly blackmailed and slammed because I wouldn't give into the FBI blackmail. And yeah, I'm not like clavicular. I don't have low cortisol, or I just like sit around and not fazed by shit. I like the guy. I'm trying to do a collab with him soon. I don't know how to get a hold of him, but I'm saying that's not me. I'm not that cool, chill guy. I'm like a guy that I love my country and I'm willing to die for my country. And I'm scared about that part because I don't want my kids to grow up without a father. And I don't think I'm safe right now because they went with the full blackmail, character assassination, investor assassination. They did all this stuff. And I said, fuck you. I got a dick and it works. So it's like that's how you have to respond to these people. But it is very serious because I have seen my friend Charlie get killed. I've seen them try to kill my friend Nick. And then you go and I see them threaten to kill James O'Keefe. And you're like, this is some real ass nigga shit. Like, this is crazy. Like, it feels like a video game. There's a water main breaking in my hotel, and I don't know what's going on while I'm picking up my stolen car from the NATO headquarters in Virginia. Like, it's just crazy shit, right? Someone had my car stolen and hit, and my gun, and we still haven't figured that out. So it's just like I just think the totality of what we're doing, what you guys are doing by supporting people like Nick is amazing. And I want to say this too. That's why we are supported on the show by you guys. We're gonna have one more topic after this, just one more topic, and then super chats. But I got to say, we do ad reads here because that's how we support ourselves. And so think about these companies that are standing with us during this time, like how big that is for us, especially with the amount of treasonous traitors I've dealt with. Consider going to blackoutcoffee.com when you get a chance. And it's blackoutcoffee.com/rift, promo code RIFT for 20% off. Guys, you all drink coffee. This is my ad read. You all drink coffee. And if you support the fight against the FBI, this fight against all of this stuff going on with Nick, if you support, figuring out who killed Charlie Kirk, you need fighters like myself and Nick. You need people who say fuck you to blackmailers, who can't be bought out, who, if we are taking money, will tell you who's giving us money. We're transparent about our lives, but we do have to live. And I'm telling you, so I can't be blackmailed, I do ad reads to support myself and my family, and we're rebuilding Rift because that's the biggest fuck you to these people. It's like, actually, you can't dismantle me. So pick up some coffee at blackoutcoffee.com/rift, BLACKOUTCOFFEE.com/RIFT, promo code RIFT, 20% off. You can also get the coffee pods. I like the light roast. I think light roast is better. It has more caffeine. The lighter the roast, the more caffeine. And also, I just like light things. You know what I mean? Not into black things, This is it's never been my thing. So get yourself some coffee, check it out, support the show. And please, if you do watch the show, I would appreciate you guys just giving a shout out, giving a click even, just so they see their traffic go up a little bit and support the show. Anyways, I want to get into my last topic for today. with Nick, which is to some of you guys disappointing. Why is my thing messed up? Okay, never mind. I don't know. My thing is like acting weird here. But I want to talk about Dan Crenshaw losing because I think this is funny. I just want to do it just to be kind of spiteful to him a little bit because he sucks. And I don't know why he thinks he can get off with attacking people and it was never going to bite him. So it's just kind of like absolutely nuts here. Let me see. How do I get this up? Oh, what the hell? Sorry, guys. My thing is like messed up right now and I don't know how to like change it. Okay, whatever. I'm just going to go ahead and go back to us on the screen because my thing is glitching out here. What the fuck? Sorry, dude. This is like so crazy. My thing is like broken. Okay, that's how we're gonna have to be for the rest part of the show. Sorry about this. But Dan Crenshaw lost in his race for his primary, which is pretty crazy. He lost in his race for the primary, and he's not going to be in Congress anymore. I guess is this the first sign? Because he's a pro-war president. Is this the first sign for the Republican Party that people are voting against war? And even if you're a veteran or you've got an eye patch and you think you're cool, and you walk around. I remember that. Maybe you weren't there. That turning point time where he runs up to Trump on stage trying to be a star. He thought he was so cool. It's the American patriot. He turned out to be a total Jew-sucking, cock-sucking bitch. He turned out to be he's horrible. And actually, everybody hates him. He's like yelling at Christian women and doing all this insane stuff. And he came after you. He talked shit on you too. And now he lost. I don't know what. I just want to hear your take on that to close before you read the super chats because you've got to be laughing. But I was too. So I think this is hilarious. Yeah, no, it is. It really is. And it's white pilling because his opponent is actually an immigration hardliner. His opponent, not only did he lose, but his opponent, whose name I don't know, I'm not super familiar with him. But we have friends in Texas, and they say that the primary opponent that won is actually one of the finest immigration hardliners that there is in Texas. So it's actually a huge white pill. This is one of the Republicans I would tell people to vote for. And you're right, Dan Crenshaw, you could see what they were going for with him. They were trying to turn him into G.I. Joe. He's got an eye patch. He's flying in. Remember that hype video they made where he jumps out of the airplane and he's flying to Turning Point? And he even tried to do his own conference. Remember that? He had like that Dan Crenshaw convention or whatever. Oh, yeah, in Texas. Yeah. I do remember that. And he was supposed to be so that is so delicious that they really tried to create, here's our new generation. Here's this young, grizzled veteran. And the guy's a total pussy. This is supposed to be your like macho, big military guy. And he's like a very catty, like bitchy, even just the way he talks. He's like, if I ever saw Tucker, I'd kick his freaking ass. It's like, so the guy's a total disappointment in that way. And he's a neocon and just basically got rejected by all young people. No enthusiasm, no hype. Arguably, it's possible my clip making fun of him was responsible for him losing. I mean, who's to say, who can quantify the impact of everybody like me, not just me, but everybody making fun of him in his defeat? So, it's pretty depressing, the situation in the world, but that's a white pill. That's definitely some optimism for you. All right, we love ourselves a little optimism. We got optimism max a little more because, you know what, that's why I'm going to read the super chats and stuff right now. But Nick, you and I have been friends, known each other, I should say, in the industry for a long time, and there's not a lot of people left that were there when we started, or they like that one chick. She became Jewish. That was crazy. Yeah, that's such a crazy move, right? To become Jewish, it's like, why? So you have a lot of these people, and I think you realize who the real niggas are. Like you start to notice you got like Dan Bilzerian, I think that's how you say it. You got Jake Shields, right? You got some of these people, and then you got these other people that you're not sure about because they seem to kind of be in it for themselves and they're grifting off the Jew topic. Like they actually don't know what's going on. And then you have just the rest of our people, which they're just paid. Like they just do this for a job, guys. Like all of our my colleagues, and that's why they hate me. I didn't know I was as hated as I am now. But they try to get you to hate me because why? Because we are telling the truth about Israel. That's really the conclusion. And they will mock us even for that. Like, oh no, you're just a shitty person or this or that. It's like, I promise you, if I was pro-Israel, neither the true things or the non-true things that have been said about me in the media or about Nick, none of those things would have happened in our lives. I can just guarantee you that. We would be paid well, and they did pay me well when I was a good little goy, and they cracked the whip, and I got my golden Glen bucks. That literally was how it was. And the moment I started asking questions about CPAC and Jewish people, that's when my problem started. I had a great career. I could have done anything I wanted, and these people do anything they want. And that's why we find out they're horrible people. We find out they're doing crazy shit because they're horrible, but they get away with it because they protect their own. So let's protect our own. If you're an SOB tonight and you don't know who Nick is, I don't know how you wouldn't know, but you could be an older viewer of ours. Maybe you're just not on the internet a lot. Make sure you check out his show, America First. You can watch it on Rumble. You can also, are you still have your website, right?
Yeah, it's americafirst.plus is our new website.
It's impressive what you guys built, man. It's
Thanks.
As a media guy who also built something that got like nuked by gay Jew. I don't know how that happened. It happens. No, but it's a very impressive site, guys. I do encourage you to join. If you want to get to know Nick more, I know that he has even tiers. You can pay money and get in chats and join the community. However, I wanted to make just one last shout out here. We do have our own community as well, and we're building something not similar, but just our own thing at ElijahSchaefer.locals.com. Yes, I know Locals was started by a gay Jew and stuff, but it's sold and it's running differently. It's also a partner of Rumble. We're not going to talk shit on Rumble. We're going to thank Rumble for letting Nick on, and they verified you, I think, too. Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so we got to give W's in the chat for Rumble. We got to give Chris Pavlovsky and those guys some love. They're also connected to El Salvador. I love that place. But go to ElijahSchaefer.locals.com. Join the community. It's free to join. But if you want to become a paid member, just put a shout out in the chat one time during the live stream, and we'll give you the link to our private Discord. And we vet. So if you're trying to come in there to do naughty things, we're going to kick you out. We have a lot of fun in there. We're racist, we're sexist, we're misogynistic. Not me, of course, because I'm going to court, so I would never be any of those things. I'm a really nice guy, but my followers, some of them, they're crazy. So make sure that you go into Locals. If you want to follow a perfect guy for court records who never does anything wrong, go ahead and follow me there and join the community. It would really help. Even if you just join with your email, it's great, and it's you can watch the clips and go on there. Let's go ahead and let's read a couple of these super chats here. And stuff that was sent during the live. I don't have a fancy thing like you have to put them on the screen, but Rasputin Archive said, what if they're poisoning the out pouches and distributing them in stores to destroy Tucker's life and credibility, like with the Hezbollah pagers? Thoughts?
Sorry, say that one again. You cut out for a second.
They wondered if they're going to poison the out patches and they're going to let them find them and they're going to kill all of Tucker's supporters.
That sounds a little conspiratorial, but I would never put it past him.
All right. Dano Thermano said, I'm here for Nick, but you are an okay Jew, Elijah. All right. I saw some other ones, but they're not showing up on my screen. Let me see. There's some guy named Thanos that said, save some baddies for the rest of us, Elijah. Dude, this has been a ridiculous few months, man. I'm not gonna lie, it's been ridiculous. We also have a super chat. Homer J. Fuentes. I just want to give a little clap here. It's a $100 super chat, big super chat. Yes. Homer J. Fuentes, who is one of the few people who did that's well connected, that didn't turn on me and wanted the truth. Thank you so much from our show, from the bottom of my heart. And I know he supports you too, Nick, a lot. And you'll probably meet him at some point because he's the kind of guy you want to know. And he's a really, really good guy. We also have some gifted subs from Cocteau. Thank you. Noticer I am as well. You met Noticer I am at dinner at when you came by at that. One place. He was one of the guys, the only one that wasn't fangirling. That was so embarrassing. I'm gonna be completely honest though, but one of my employees showed up. Guys, this is a true story. I'm not gonna say their name because I'm not gonna disparage them. One of my employees who turned on me, by the way, and helped write the dossier. I believe that's what it says in there. And they both turned on me, the husband and wife. But it's like he showed up with a Nick Fuentes t-shirt on to meet Nick, and I'm like, guys, just don't do that. Like just if you ever meet me, don't wear a picture of my face on it. So that's what I was gonna say. But anyways, I was just like, it was kind of embarrassing for me. But you're a cool guy. You're a good sport. You kind of just like, I remember he was like trying to offer to drive you, and you're like, I'll just take an Uber. And he's like, no, I'll drive you. You're like, the guy with the shirt on my my face on his shirt? I'll take an Uber. Thank you. Probably a good move. And then I think, well, just two more. This is our last thing to wrap it up. I said Cocteau, Noticer, Guitar MG gifted a sub as well. And we also have a few more people. I don't know. Can't find them. That's okay. We're not going to stay here all night. Thank you to the guys and everyone who gave a super chat. Thank you to those who did not and just joined the show. You can watch this show. I think we might be changing the time next week, but we are every Monday and Wednesday and Friday. As of right now, it's at 6 o'clock. I have a big collab coming up on next week. We're changing it with Myron, by the way. It was supposed to be this Friday, but he has a scheduling conflict. It's not canceled. Nick, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. It really means a lot to me. I just kind of want to end in a personal thank you to you and to your community. You know, they tried to get me. They tried to get me to kill myself is really what it was. They put the maximum amount of pressure you can put on a guy. It's messy to clean up a homicide. So like, you know, that's why they don't kill all of us, because it's messy. It's harder to cover up. But if you pop yourself, that's what they did. And a lot of people had told me if they were in my position going through just one of the three things I was going through, that they would have killed themselves. And a lot of people do. And, you know, you're one of the real ass niggas who came through and basically, you know, told me that wasn't a good idea and to focus on fixing things up and getting my life back in order. And I got to thank you for that, because I took that advice. It's been going very well, actually, this return and this comeback. And you guys should listen to Nick. Listen to what he has to say. He's not speaking from the bottom of the barrel. He's just telling you the real shit. So Nick, thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciated it.
Hey, thank you for saying that, man. Good to be with you.
Yeah. All right, man. To the rest of you guys watching, have a great rest of the week as always. Fuck people like this, like the governor of Texas who stand in front of Jewish flags. And what the hell are people like this doing? We're going to be fighting back for Texas. We love this country. We love America. Anyways, I'll see you later.